Hi, Aqua Roomers. It's time for a Jennie story. Are you ready? Today's story is the tree story. It happened like this. My house, the Kruger's house. Okay? Right in the middle was a tree. Right in between my house, the Kruger's house. And the tree was huge. It was a sweet gum tree, and it was much too big to be in between the two houses. Sweet gum drops balls that are like this big around, and they're brown, and they have prickers all over. The whole yard was covered with the sweet gum balls. You couldn't walk in the yard. If you walked and you stepped, they would stick in your feet, and you couldn't go barefoot. It was awful. We knew the tree had to come down, way too big. Where I worked lived a man, his name was Ray. And Ray had two sons. Ray, though, would come to your house, and he would take down your tree, and he didn't charge you anything, and he kept the wood. Worked really well. So I said, Ray, it's the sweet gum tree. It's huge. It has to come down. Can you do this? Ray said, sure, no problem. Saturday morning came. There was a knock at the door, and it was Ray and his two big, strong sons. They got started right away. So they went up to the top of the tree, and they started to hack down all those branches. They came down a little bit and cut off the biggest top of the tree. Then they came down a little more, but the branches were bigger. It was harder, much harder. They worked and they worked. They came down and they realized it was time for lunch. So Ray and his two sons stopped. They came down, had lunch, went right back to work again in that middle section. It started to get windy, like really, really windy. So they worked harder. And finally, Ray said, you know, I think we're good. We can go ahead and make the big cut to the tree now. Okay. So he came down, started to cut the tree. Remember, my house, the Kruger's house. Oh no. Here's the tree. And the tree went, It was going toward the Kruger's house the wrong way. So it got windier and windier. And Steve said, okay, I'm going to run across the street and see if Jim, the neighbor, has that big, thick, orange, glow-in-the-dark rope. Your dad might have some in the garage. So he goes across the street, knocks on the door. Jim, it's the tree. And it's going to land on the Kruger's house. Can you help? Do you have that big, thick, strong orange rope? Jim said, sure. So he got the rope, ran back across the street. They took the rope all around the tree. And now there were 5 big, strong men to pull that rope. There was Steve, Jim, Ray, and his 2 sons. 5. So they took the ends of the rope and they went 1, 2, 3, and the rope went snap, snap, snap. This is a real emergency, like real. And Steve said, Jennie, call 911. I'd never called 911 in my life. So I ran inside. I picked up the phone, 911, and the fire department said, we're on our way. So 2 minutes later, ding, 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 the red fire truck comes up to the house, and the fire chief is driving the fire truck. His name was Fire Chief Mike. We knew him really well. And so Mike got out of the fire truck. He's talking to Steve. They're looking at the tree, which is still... And he said, Steve, I can't do anything. The only person that can help you is the tree man. Okay, so Steve went inside, called the tree man. This is really very scary. Hello, this is, yeah, the Fitzkys. And it's the tree, and it's going to crash on the Kruger's house, and I'll be right over. Click. So the tree man came a few minutes later. He got out of his big truck. He didn't really say anything, and he kind of went like this the whole time. And he got right to work. So he went up the tree, and then Steve said, Jennie, take the children, put them in the car, go, take them out to dinner, because if something terrible would happen, I don't want the children to be here. So, okay. So I got the children in the car, strapped them in their car seats. We went to McDonald's for dinner. I couldn't eat anything. They were fine. Ate dinner. We came back home. When we got home, it was dark. And the tree man was in his cherry picker, and it went up to the top of the tree, and he was cutting, and it was really windy. And the fire truck stayed to shine the big floodlight right on the top so the tree man could see. All of the neighbors were there going, staring and watching. It was pretty scary. So I went inside because I was thinking, if something terrible happens and the tree would crash, and that would be awful. I don't want to be upstairs sleeping. So I went inside to grab sleeping bags, and we were all going to be downstairs in the den sleeping together. And then the whole ground shook. It was a big thump. I went outside, and there was the tree. Not that way. That way. It was across our yard. It was the biggest tree you've ever seen. The neighbors left. Firefighter Mike left, the fire chief. And then the tree man came inside. And he looked at us and he said, you were very lucky. I did not think that I could save the tree and keep it from falling on the Kruger's house. So, the next time you need a tree taken down, you need to call a tree expert, the tree man. That is the story. Can you imagine? I had to call 911. Oh my goodness, you should have seen the fire truck and the big floodlight and the tree man and the wind, and that's exactly how it happened. Did you like that story? I'll tell another one in a few days, okay? Bye, Aqua Roomers. Until next time, see you soon.